minutes late from what I put on here. The big thing that we're going to go over this evening is what was going on as far as with what the SEC. We've had a lot of claims come out that there was a settlement agreement with the SEC, or not an agreement, but the SEC lowering its offer to roughly 102.6 million dollars. Now that's not factually correct. I read over in my update earlier about it, and we talked about whether it was true or not. All the SEC was doing was they were putting an example. It's 1:12 a.m. It put an example of what it would be proportionally to if they ruled it in the same exact way as Terraform. So they weren't saying, oh, we're extending this offer to Ripple, but they were saying the 10 million is out of question, and if they were to do it in the way Ripple was saying, it should be 102.6 million. So that's what's confirmed. They appear to have lowered the absurd amount. Interesting. Very, very interesting. It seems well, if he's saying that, it's interesting because it appeared that that's what was going on, but there was no conclusive update of that, whether or not that was true or not. So now, apparently we're getting some news on it. Apparently we're getting some news on this. Why does this keep cutting in and out? 1.0, what was it? 1.06 million. 1.06 million. All right, I don't know what's going on. It seems to be cutting in and out. So it's totally different than what was going on as far as the case between Terraform and Ripple itself. It really, really is. Now, as far as a settlement being in writing, we don't know, but it does look like in the actual document we got, the SEC didn't say, hey, we're offering a settlement to Ripple of 102.6 million is what I'm talking about in my title. Whether or not that ends up being a number that they end up using, that's one thing. But what they were saying in the document, as we went on over earlier, is that if they converted it in the way that Ripple was saying, it was not a $10 million fine. It would actually come out to 102.6 million. So it's being interpreted by some that is a settlement offer from the SEC. That actually hasn't happened yet. Now, it could be in the works, and maybe that's a number they work with, but there's been no official settlement offer for those terms, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of speculation going on. Some have said Stuart Alderodi has come out and said that the SEC has talked about this, but we'll see exactly what they're talking about. I want to see if there's anything that I can see here. But it's a completely different thing. It's a completely different day. Or a completely different circumstance. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll go to Twitter. But if you are watching right now, please make sure to hit that like button, because this is a very, very important live. Not just because of the possible settlement stuff. Not just because of maybe some misrepresentation out there. But so, Stuart Alderodi said, the SEC is raging. Ripple defended itself, agreeing to nothing. The court gave clarity that XRP is not a security. There are no victims. To compensate, and worst of all, for the SEC, Ripple is thriving. But at least SEC seems to have abandoned its absurd $2 billion. But that's not true. Because all it says, Ripple also compares the size of Terraform penalty to the amount of the defendant's gross sales, arguing the court should impose the same 1.27% ratio, ECF number 989 at 1. But that's not an apples-to-apples comparison. Ripple avoids comparing the Terraform settlement significantly higher, 11.7%. So now they're saying if you apply the 11.7% to the 876.3 million in gross profits, the SEC here asked the court to disgorge results in much larger figure, a 102.6 million penalty than the 10 million ceiling Ripple insists on. So They're looking to, if they're even going to consider it, they want to do it at an 11.7% ratio. And their figure of disgorgement is 102.6 million. There's other terms on top of just disgorgement, what they want Ripple to pay for. There's other penalties on top of just disgorgement. So this is not the settlement amount. This just shows that they're willing to come off of the 2 billion disgorgement number, and maybe 102.6 million is something that they're actually willing to go after. It's exactly what I said. If Ripple argues, throws out an absurd number of what they think is right, and then the SEC comes back with 100 million, and then they pay it, it's going to look like a massive win. Hey, we didn't have to pay 2 billion, but now we paid 100 million or 50 million or whatever the case may be. So this is not an actual settlement thrown out there for the SEC. They're just saying that they would apply it at an 11.7% ratio on the 876.3 million, not 1.27% ratio. So that's the number they came up with just for disgorgement. So that's why they're saying it would be much larger than Ripple's 10 million that it insists on. So at least it looks like that's a number they can work with, but you would still have the over-the-top fees and all this other nonsense they put on there on top of just disgorgement. So I think they're trying to mince words a little bit. Even Stuart Alderodi knows that this is not an official settlement. But it does appear they've absurd the demand for $2 billion. That does seem to be possible. That just seems like that's something that's real talk that's going on in real time on this Saturday. So let me do the intro, and then I want to say hi to everybody. Just because I think it's important to say hi to everybody who's commented. I'll try to get to everybody if I can. I know YouTube had cut me off here in the beginning, so it made it a little difficult for everybody who was coming in. But no, they shouldn't have to pay anything. And there's been no agreement, and there's been no official extension from the SEC to say, hey, if you agree to this number, it's over. So that has not happened yet. I just wanted to read to everybody what that actually said. So, welcome in, everybody. Let me just read through this real quick. Coco and Ruben, welcome in. 1.2 billion. Mark Caston, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XOP Meteor. Roach 91, welcome in. Kryptonian, good evening, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for 3 months with the XP Meteor. John Patak, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Alexandros, welcome in. Mario Louise Willamese, welcome in. Steven Jackson, good evening. JW, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Matt Grimes, Coco and Ruben, welcome in. Harvey Boy, UK Phil, thanks for both being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Matt Grimes says SEC can kick rocks. They sure can. Janthony the Third, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 1 month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Joined yesterday. I appreciate that. Mosey here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6 months with the XP Predictor. John Hall, welcome in, thanks for tuning in as always. Trader with J-Ride, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. It's awesome to see some of you in the audience right now. Let's see. I think that's everybody. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Barbacoa, welcome in from Mexico. Welcome in from Mexico. Roach says, just want it to be over. Well, by virtue or by payment, I think we're getting closer and closer and closer to some sort of resolution here. So, good evening. Actually, before I get into this, make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend this live. It would be a great help for me and my community if you hit that like button so YouTube will recommend these videos. It'll allow us to push through the analytics, and it'll allow us to be recommended by the YouTube algorithm. It really would help push this program more than a lot of you can even imagine. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. And with that, let's get into the intro. Good evening. 6:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, June 15th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've got a couple of things consolidating that are of interest. I've been watching this H-bar consolidation. I'm really interested to see what it does here, because it's come back down to the support, but it seems to have peaked down below this a little bit here. And I was interested to see if maybe it was going to use some kind of area like this as the area of support. But it is possible that maybe it does come down and make like a stationary support here. But we'll see. It's really tedious here to see what it's going to do here for H-bar. And if it breaks below, what is that, 8.4? See, we don't know where it's going to go. But if it breaks below 8.456, it might not hold here. It might not hold. It's at 8.473, 8.474. So it's very possible that it's trying to put in some kind of bottom here for H-bar. We'll get into that in a little bit. I know there's a lot of fans of H-bar here. So I just wanted to make sure to at least look at that very quickly. So I appreciate everybody tuning in on a Saturday evening. I know it's the summertime. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing than watching this live. But on a brighter note, XRP is up 3.56% on the day, which I think is a tremendous thing to see here for XRP. It's up to the 49.14 cent level. John Hall, thank you so much for sending your third YouTube super chat during the live, as you sent a $5 donation. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, John Hall. The first donation of the night. I greatly appreciate that. Danny, yes, I agree. XRP is legitimate. I do believe that. I do believe that. And the XRP Bitcoin pairing is up 3.62% on the day to the 744 sat level. So I'm now up on my holdings of just over $5,000 on the XRP Bitcoin pairing. But right now, we're looking at XRP. Can we get a proper back test here? Can we get a back test here to allow us to push up to further levels? If we're going to say yes during this live, we should see if there's going to be a retest here. It could be down to the 4872 level, or the 484 level, I should say. If it's going to back test all the way down. Now, we know it doesn't have to, but oftentimes you will get a back test at least once just to verify that a pattern consolidation zone flips in to a pattern of support now. So this resistance is now could flip to support. And if that happens, we're talking about having higher levels of opportunity now with XRP, as now we start to get a little bit closer into the mid-tier resistance at the 53 cent level. We also, if we can get on top of those points, we could start pushing back up in this handle formation. And if it pushed up from here, there's a very real opportunity that XRP could have started a different kind of formation here. We could have started to break back up in a bullish sense, but we won't know unless we can push back up and retest in some time. And it's not going to be today, it's not going to be tomorrow, but at some point we need to start reversing this pattern and push up towards that 64 cent cup and handle resistance. It's just going to happen at some point, and we'll find out whether in a good way or a very bad way if we're bullish or not. Right now, XRP's trying, but it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a reversal here. It looks like in the 2 hourly, and it looks like it's going to come back down here and retest the 483 level. It is always a little suspicious when XRP is moving up, like some said on their own. But like if I look across the board, you got ZIL up 2.22%. We've got, what else is up today? Ethereum's up 2.2%. Shiba's up 2%. We've got a few others that I've seen over here that, well, Pika was way down. It's up 4%. Casper's starting to break down. Well, I mean, it was breaking up just a little bit, but it's down 0.72% on the day to 234. So, yeah, it's not like everything is running right now. But XRP was in a momentary section here where it looked like it needed to rally. And like the XRP Bitcoin pairing, we were seeing it yesterday. We even put where the breakup was in the technical target. So it broke up to the technical target of 760, and now it's retesting at that 740 sat level. If it can hold that as the support, it'd be very interesting. Now, if it falls through here, you very well could, I guess, retest that breakout point. But that little bull flag we had set up, and now it materialized. But now we need to see if there's any kind of continuation. The 2 hours massively oversold for the XRP Bitcoin pairing. It just is what it is. 4 hourly's oversold. Daily's still working in a good way. But some of these lower time frames are a little oversold now, so they are getting their correctionary phase here. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to go right back up, because with the daily where it is, it seems to be a lot of movement that can be happening here. And I'd be a tad bit surprised after that lengthy consolidation if it didn't make a run up here at some point to almost the 800 sat level. That's just me being real. Just like I'd be surprised if H-bar doesn't make a run here at some point and at least retest this resistance if it does validate one of these zones. And I'm trying to pinpoint exactly where it's trying to find the support structure, because it doesn't seem like it would just come right here all at once to the 8349, but it very well could, and then bounce back up here to show a resistance. So that is definitely something if you're watching H-bar, and that looks like a little bit of a bear flag that could set up here on a breakdown. It's just, it's getting a little bit of an opportunity with the market if it can use this as a support structure. That's why I'm being very vigilant on this during the live. So we'll continue to watch that. I'm happy for the fact, if it was anybody watching who's in the audience right now on the XRP Bitcoin pairing, were you watching yesterday when it was making the breakout at about 715, and we talked about the just over 5% move, and I didn't sell it, but we talked about how if you were going to take a shot here, you could buy it here as it's in the breakout section, and then you could ride it up, and if you needed to, or if you wanted to, you could at least just sell it here. It was a 5.9% move from the technical zone, but it actually went up about 6.3%. So there was the opportunity there through the pairing, as it's been consolidating pretty deeply, but I still anticipate at some point a much wider reversal up. I think this is just the start of something bigger to come. That doesn't mean it has to happen in this little section, but I believe we're getting closer and closer as the daily's starting to break bullish. The weekly was massively oversold. So the XRP Bitcoin pairing also speaks to what the momentum for XRP could move to. I should have the road. Oh, yeah. It's hard to get the road because I have like a brick fence, as you can see behind me. So, but yeah, I do get nice sounds of the cars all the time, especially in the summer. It's not all that great of a view on the roadside, I must say. Sometimes you get some cool cars coming by, that's for sure. What else are we... Oh, yeah, Casper. Casper's at about down 0.59%. Someone said it's to make it or break it, which it is, because it's in this consolidation. We talked about this little consolidation on the last few days. But if it were to come down below the 2240 level, it could be a problem. But it is in the oversold range. So like if you were looking to buy this, an obvious zone, I mean, you could buy it at the 2242. That is not like, oh, I'm just putting a number out there. That's an actual logical zone to take a shot at. Just like we're not just throwing it out there with the H-bar, a logical zone to take a shot. There is this short term, but there's also the larger term consolidation at 8349. It's just we're starting to get into a section where it's possible that it might fuck with everybody. Oh, excuse my French, mess with everybody real quick. And it's so crazy how they do this so often. And I want to point it out because XRP kind of was doing the same thing before. Support, resistance, resistance, support. And then all of a sudden you could see this to do this. And honestly, in the back of my head, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some kind of a fake out to turn into a bigger fake out to ultimately lead to a bigger push up. And I could totally see the market makers doing something like that. So I'm watching this very closely because I can't tell if it wants to bounce up or bounce down first. But I'm very, very intrigued from a buyer's perspective for an opportunity here to see if it holds here or if it breaks down to that next little section. I'm very, very intrigued. Just like I'm very intrigued to see if XRP holds this back test here, or if it just breaks up here again and retests the high level here at 505 before it comes back down. Or if it just pushes out from here. 505 is a major level of resistance. It's a big level here because if you hold 505 at any point, or what is it, 506, this could invalidate the lower bearish thesis, and then you could come up here before a further back test. So that's why this is very interesting, the way this is working out. And I understand this is a poor choice of which chart I chose to put this on, and I realized that only after... What the hell is going on? I realized this only after I put it in. Why doesn't it... There we go. But I should put it here, because the only way to invalidate the drop there is to somehow get on top of this section and use that as the support. Otherwise, you know, we could come even up for a double top and then see what happens here. But we'll put this at the actual high that it went to. So that's what we're looking for here. It's either we bounce up here and hold that as a support structure, or at some point we're probably going to come back down here. So does that make sense, everybody? Do you understand what I'm trying to say on the charts here? 81 people watching. I am eternally grateful for that. Daniel, never knew I would reach this amount of Kasparov ever, but this recent downtrend has really given us once. On Casper, it really is. Casper is starting to get down to a moment of opportunity. I mean, there's no other way to put it, really. It's come down so far now, and that's an exhaustion candle. So a lot of times they do come back down, and they can retest and exhaust on the way down. And not always do they come 100%, but this seems to be building this exhaustion candle in the truest form. I'm trying to see if H-bar is doing the same thing. I'm very interested now to see. This level right here is at the 846. I'm interested to see if this ends up pushing all the way down or if it's running out of steam. I am so fascinated with this structure with H-bar, because the moment it taps that structure, if this is the part, or if it goes down for a third time even lower, once it hits one of these sections, it's going to have a bounce moment. Much like we've seen with XRP. I'm just fascinated to see if it's going to happen now, or if it's going to happen a little later. I'm fascinated to see if XRP is going to continue its bounce here, or if it's going to have a back test. There's a lot of stuff I'm fascinated about right now. And it's actually a very, very intriguing time to be in the live. Like, I'm very intrigued to be part of this live right now. And, like, I'm even looking from a more minute level to see on certain things on the charts, just so I can get it from a deeper grasp as well, because I might miss something on my other page. So I've actually got my chart on both different pages here on my phone and out in front of me, because I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen in this rotation. And if it does take the up route here and doesn't have to consolidate, it's going to be interesting, because there's a lot of other cryptos that are kind of sitting here and waiting to see what Bitcoin does, and to see if it's going to hold this kind of consolidation, or if it's ready to just come back down, because it's kind of it's been stepping down. But there's that little bit that you watch here worth of optimism, where in the back here you're like, well, if it does do something like that, we'd say, well, how didn't we see this W reversal? Or if you look at it in bigger time frames, why didn't we see this consolidation start to correct itself? Like, there's so many things, like when I watch, I like to pay attention to, because then if it breaks down, we know it comes right here and we would understand why. So I don't know. I find these moments so intriguing on the charts, and it's almost as if you get price freezes. It's almost as if you get price freezes sometimes on the charts. And that's the part that I find the most fascinating. Like, how does it that everything at one split second will end up having, it's not really a price freeze, but it appears the price is stuck in slow motion. And then all of a sudden, as if the trading bots start to pick up, it starts to move in one direction or the other. Whether favorable or not to you, there's always an opportune moment. I don't think anything's not favorable unless you're in a futures trade. If you're in a leverage trade, that obviously that can take a lot of the approach and the ability that we can use. Being in a leverage trade it can just be funneled. It can just be kind of, I don't want to say that it can be a living hell, but it can be a living hell if you don't know what you're doing. It really, really can. So I want to get into some reading. I want to know what everybody thinks. I know it's Saturday, but just know there's an opportunity that has been had here, or that is in the midst of being had, and it's up to you to take advantage of it. We've got this time with XRP prior to any kind of settlement, prior to any kind of judgment, prior to all of the moving parts that seem to be coming closer and closer and closer to some kind of resolution. This is the time where the serious moments of opportunity start to appear. These are the times, and it's not that it just appeared today. This has been here since sometime in early to mid 2023. More early 2023 is when it started. But don't take this lightly. Like, just from yesterday to today, and yeah, it could come back down, but you've got a 3.67% increase. Actually, a little bit more than that, about 5% from when we started talking yesterday. So that's a big differential just from yesterday to today. And we could consolidate here, and we could go back down. But there is always opportunity to accumulate during the accumulation phase, and as I'm liking to call it, the time of opportunity. I think the XRP Bitcoin pairing is offering a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because of how we are reacting right now and how low we are in comparison to the ratio of Bitcoin. We're not down at these levels very often. The beautiful thing is we were able to buy a lot at 666, 67, 68, 69 on the way back up as well. So it's put us in an opportunity where we've been accumulating, but we're still up. Well, I'm still up because of where we moved today now. I wasn't yesterday, and I was as much as almost, what was it, $250 down at one point. Or 300, I think, when we made that big push down to like the 6.6 level. But I didn't panic. I took it as a moment to where I could just continue to build in. So we'll continue to watch this as we go along. But I do have to get through some reading here. If you do appreciate my work, please make sure to hit that like button so YouTube recommends this live. I always like to see how many people are in before we start the reading to see how interested everybody is. If you do think XRP is capable of more than just a hit it and quit it kind of move here, hit that like button. And if you think XRP is going to topple back down and lose that 48.4 cent mark in a short order, please let me know in the comments as well. So is XRP price set for a major rally? This bullish pattern could be key. And I want to read this first as we're talking about the pattern formation. And then we can talk about how everybody's talking about the SEC lowering its settlement offer, which it did not technically do. And I clarified that in the beginning of this live. So let's see, is XRP's price set for a major rally? This bullish price pattern, or this bullish pattern could be key. Most cryptos had a rough week as their weekly XRP charts remained red. As XRP is no different, or was no different, the drop in price might have sparked fear among investors too. However, sorry, I seen something, Julia. I had a text. However, things can take a U-turn in the coming days as a bullish pattern seems to be appearing on XRP's chart. According to CoinMarketCap, XRP investors didn't earn profits last week as the token price tokens price dropped by more than 4%. At the time of writing, the altcoin was trading at 47.75 cents, and now it's up to 49.1. With the market capitalization, it's up a little bit from here. So at press time, only 69.8 billion tokens were in profit. However, investors must not lose hope as XRP might be getting ready for a pump. In fact, AMB Crypto's analysis revealed a bullish falling wedge pattern has emerged on the token's chart. XRP's price entered the pattern after its massive fall in mid-April. Since then, the token has consolidated inside the falling wedge. At press time, it was preparing for an uptrend, which might result in a breakout above the pattern. A successful breakout might allow XRP to recover its April losses. In fact, if everything falls into place, then XRP might soon retest its March highs too. AMB Crypto then analyzed Sentiment's data to see whether metrics supported the possibility of a bullish breakout. We found that XRP's MVRV ratio was at its lowest point in the last 30 days, which might trigger a bull rally. Its supply on exchanges dipped too, meaning that investors used the opportunity to buy more tokens. Additionally, whale activity around XRP also remained relatively high, with the same evidenced by its whale transaction count. Additionally, AMB Crypto found that at press time, XRP's fear and greed index had a value of 37%. Meaning that the market was in a fear phase. Whenever the metric hits that level, it indicates that the chances of a trend reversal are high. We then analyzed the token's daily chart to better understand what to expect from it in the coming days. AMB Crypto found that XRP's price has touched the lower limit of the Bollinger Band, which often results in price upticks. Moreover, its relative strength index, RSI, and chalk and money flow, CMF, registered slight upticks. These indicators suggested that the chances of a bullish trend reversal were high. Worth noting, however, but the MACD moving average convergence divergence remained in the seller's favor. As it projected a bearish advantage across the market. So that was something I wanted to read just to put that in everybody's view. And now the news that everybody has been talking about. I did an update earlier and we read the official document. And I asked a simple question, is this true? And it's not true in the regards that they have not lowered their settlement offer. They've simply stated, the SEC, that 102.6 million, based on their calculations of about 11.2%, the disgorgement should be 102.6 million if they're using Ripple's logic. And now what Ripple said at 10 million. That doesn't mean they can't add on top of this still, but the disgorgement itself, they're trying to say 102.6 million, and they said as much in the official document. So yeah, it seems they've come off of the 1.2 billion in disgorgement, and now they brought that down to 102.6 million. So that in itself is a win. It's 10% of what they were trying to get out of Ripple. So the SEC has significantly reduced its proposed penalty for Ripple Labs. So that's why I wanted to tell you exactly. It's not that they've lowered the possibility of the disgorgement amount being lowered to this amount. Ongoing legal battles over XRP sales. So the legal battle between the SEC and Ripple Labs over XRP sales as unregistered securities took a significant turn on June 14, 2024. A legal document chaired by defense lawyer James Phelan revealed a substantial reduction in the SEC's proposed settlement amount for Ripple. The initial SEC proposal sought a hefty $2 billion penalty from Ripple. However, the new filing proposed a significantly reduced sum of $102.6 million. This development comes just a day after Ripple filed a legal brief arguing that the original $2 billion penalty was unreasonable. So, we've read through this already, so if you want to see this entirety read out, you can watch my update from earlier. I went through this for it was a big portion. We also read through the bottom of this earlier. So I just want to read the money shot here, which is what has everybody talking. They said right at the bottom, Ripple also compares the size of Terraform penalty to the amount of the defendant's gross sales, arguing the court should impose the same 1.7% ratio, ECF 989 at 1. But that's not apples to apples comparison. Ripple avoids comparing the Terraform settlements penalty to the gross profit of its violative conduct. That ratio, 420 million to 3.587 billion, is significantly higher, 11.7%. Applying it to the 876.3 million in gross profits, the SEC here asked the court to disgorge results in a much larger figure, a 102.6 million penalty than the 10 million ceiling Ripple insists on. And for the reasons previously set forth, that low of a penalty would not satisfy the purpose of civil penalty status. So they're saying, for them to even consider it, the disgorgement number has to be a larger figure, and a 102.6 million would be the target. That doesn't mean they can't throw on fees and penalties and court costs and all this other shit. But the disgorgement alone, they wanted at 102.6 million and not the 10 million ceiling that Ripple put for this settlement. So that's what's going on here. That's the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. And I don't like to sugarcoat it. It might cost me viewers along the way, but I'd rather tell everybody the truth. Rick 1, welcome in, my friend, and thank you for being a mod. I really, really, really appreciate that. And we'll get back to H-bar. As we know, it was at about the 847, 8466 level when we last looked. But there's a chance that it could be in the midst of a reversal here. So I'm still eager to watch that. Last time we looked at XRP, it was at the 49.14 cent level. And there's also a very real chance that it could make a move as well. But H-bar hasn't even made the move XRP has. So I'm very interested to see if it can bounce off of this layer. So in its argument, Ripple pointed out the tariff. So we just read through what's going on here. So, and now let's go through the XRP price prediction for today. Because I like reading through this stuff. I hope some of you find this interesting. And I also like to see what others say against what we're doing. SEC is using Terraform Lamp settlement figures that don't apply to it. That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. So I don't want anybody to think this is any kind of legitimate settlement kind of setup. It's not. This is going to get picked back by Ripple. And there's no way Ripple is going to agree to that amount. It's not possible. So, XRP price prediction for June 15th. And it's nice to see 84 of you here on this Saturday evening. I really, really do appreciate seeing it. And if you're looking to buy XRP right now, before all the fireworks end, video description below in our pinned comments, there's BITUNIX, USA and worldwide. You don't need a VPN. KYC only if you send a receipt from a bank account. And it has the lowest spot and leverage trading fees that I have in the USA. I can't speak for the rest of the world because I'm in the USA. It's up in high tons of volatility, and the fees are minute compared to sites like Uphold and many other, where to buy $5,000 worth of XRP, you're going to get about 280 tokens less as of right now. Especially in the high tons of volatility, it's probably worse. So don't make the exchanges rich. Take advantage of what I put in the description below, because it's honestly changed my life swing trading. I can't look at these opportunities if I'm on Uphold. It's just that simple. And then MEXC for the XRP Bitcoin pairing. You have to buy Bitcoin if you're on MEXC, and then buy the XRP Bitcoin pairing with the Bitcoin tokens that you use cash to buy with. And then you can flip it out when the ratio is in your advantage. And since we're talking about it on MEXC, my trade value, I have $5,045 is the official figure. And I'm up $109.83, up 2.17%. And I have $5,155 in value. But today, it's up, as we know, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but earlier it was about 3.4%, 3.3%. So that's something that was happening earlier. So I don't know if it's still there, but we'll look at everything later. So make sure you look at those opportunities in the video description below. And with XRP, I can only say it so many times. We're not always going to have this opportunity. It's been going on so long that I promised everybody I would not cut my hair just to show you how long the opportunity's been going on when everybody says, well, we haven't had an opportunity. It's been going on for at least this long. I haven't cut my hair in 1 year next month. So, and I know that the opportunity started in about February of 2023. Late 22 as well. So, it's our opportunity here to take advantage of a moment. And yeah, today's is more expensive. You know, from yesterday to today, then you'd have to ask yourself, why wouldn't I buy it 3.6% cheaper than it is today? Or is it just because it's rising so quick today that I feel like I'm missing out? You know, that's what you have to separate, the emotion from what you want to do. Jorge, welcome in. Kryptonian, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. He says that they did not notify him until, yeah, I know, they don't know. You don't usually get a notification on time, and I wish I could do something about that. The price of XRP has risen by 1.1%. Now it's over 3% since yesterday, as it's sitting over this 48-cent resistance zone, and it's sitting just over 49 cents. Huh? Mm-hmm. Because the sun. On the bigger time frame, one should pay attention to the previous candle high, as the price is far from key levels. If buyers can hold the gained initiative, the upward move may lead the test of 49 to 50 cent zone, which is where we're trying to move right now, towards 50 cents. From the midterm point of view, neither bulls nor bears are dominating. However, until the price is below the vital 50 cent mark, there is still a chance to see one more correction wave. XRP, and right now it's at 49.1, so it's come up a little bit since this was written. So I just wanted to read that a little bit. So, but that's all I wanted to really read. If there's something else we need to get to, I'll look. But XRP right now is at 49.09 cents. And it's still trying to either, we're going to back test here after the short-term pattern breakout, or XRP is going to continue up towards the 505 and try to break and hold that area. Right now, it's not necessarily a bearish reversal, but there is a technical setup here that could be a reversal. The aforementioned H-bar is at 8493 now, so it's up a tiny bit. But we're trying to see if it's going to bounce off of a structure like this, as it was a little bit lower, the evidence we have, or if it's just going to break through any kind of consolidation, like this is kind of like a double bottom here now, which it is, or is it going to come down through and go down to the 835 and then try to have some kind of bounce? I'm saying what seems to be lining up to me, and it would just piss everybody off going short. You got buy, sell, sell. This is the buy area. Now, what if it, instead of going boom, boom, and then just breaking out, it goes like this to break out. Like you get the false hope, down, and then out. So I'm looking for a retest here if it's going to fake us out. That's what I'm looking at. But if it breaks through this low support here, obviously that would invalidate my possibility there. But it could just come straight through and then bounce off like I'm thinking anyhow without the further push. So I want to see what they have in store. A lot of times they like to play that pinball game and then do the push. So I want to see what they're thinking. It's so fascinating to me to watch this. And it helps for future trading possibilities. It really does. You start watching the setups of these, whether you have money on it or not, and your brain starts to remember these patterns. You start to remember. You start to acknowledge what's going on. And over the years, it's helped me out a lot. It really has. Remember, with the XRP get Bitcoin pairing, when it was down to like 660, remember? I came on here and I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm down like $300 and something. And I had a lot of money, it was like $4,700 at the time, or $4,600, and I built in almost $500 more when it went down. But now that it's come back up, I feel like you're sitting in a good spot, because now if you've been buying every time like I have, now you could once again be like, well, I'm up 2%. I don't feel like dealing with this bullshit, and I'm out. You could certainly make that decision. I appreciate the accumulation time. And it's afforded me over 10,400 additional XRP. It's money that I would have spent elsewhere anyhow. And now it's just finding its way to accumulation. And now I've got over 22,000 XRP. And I have the ability to trade 10,400 through the XRP Bitcoin pairing. If Bitcoin's ratio continues to fall, it works into my favor. I can sell it through Bitcoin, get more dollars that can ultimately be used when the ratio turns into your favor and the XRP's favor when it drops down again, or you just continue to hold. So you've got many different opportunities. And I have not been bashful. I've been talking about the XRP Bitcoin pairing for almost 2 months, over 2 months probably now. What's another opportunity here? Velo's starting to come down. We've been talking about this more. Velo's coming down to an interesting opportunity area. I know we talked about this yesterday. I think it was Velo. No, sorry, SHX. SHX is the one. Remember yesterday we talked about, is it going to break down this? And are we going to come all the way down to 198, or is it going to ride this short-term pattern? And then we're going to start breaking up. Because the opportunity was somewhere, somebody was talking about between the 3 and 4. But I was saying, what if it does have a quick shot down after this consolidation looks to be breaking down? The technical move down should bring us somewhere in that 001. I would eat that alive. I would eat this alive if it comes down there. That would be so over. You would have no choice but a massive rebound. I am almost begging it to come down here. I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm sorry if you're in this, begging this to have this drop. It would be magnificent from the outside looking in. So that is an opportunity if it plays out. Holy smokes. I don't know if it's necessarily going to have that big of a drop. I find it hard to believe. So it very could bounce off of the position it's in. But does anybody have anything they want to say during the live? If you have anything to say, I'd love to hear it, as we're already 44 minutes almost into the live. That is craziness. That is craziness. DGB's up 0.99% for the 992, almost to 1 cent, 0.0092. DGB proved me right after buying it at 0.05.5, 0.006 area, and then they get rid of it when it had this big push. We got out at the 1.9 area. Not the top or the 1.8. Somewhere out, yeah. And it's not because I wanted to, it's just you can see what's happening. When it did the head and shoulders setup, it made me nervous. And unlike XRP, I was up over 300% on this trade. More than that, but I didn't sell it at the top. I sold it when it told me that it was over. But it's got a setup here again. It's at the 922 level. It's actually fallen right into that support structure. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The only reason I have this short-term setup is just in case it were to fall through. You can see some kind of setup here if it were to break down. So then if it breaks down, you can see the support structure. But it's starting to, a lot of these are starting to push into the oversold in the near future. The dailies, they're already pushed in. But in the near future, it's all going to meet here. Some of these, even in the weekly, are starting to push back up into a favorable spot, especially when this weekly candle closes this week. So, I mean, we got to watch. We've certainly got to watch here. XLM, same lines of XRP. It's only had 1/3 the move, though. But it had a big consolidation. And this is why a lot of times, once the macro move's done, no point, who cares about it? But the longer term patterns always tend to play out. Like this is a macro, this is a macro, this is a macro, these are macro, more macro. But if you just look at the longevity of the move, oh yeah, that actually was important for that part of the move. I'm sorry. It was just the wrong color. Because you can make a certain connection here with a very real uptrend. So this was actually valid for XLM. So it's possible that a lot of these are just meeting their support zones. It really is. Weekly starting to push up. Dailies in that oversold range. 4 hourly started pushing back into the bullish areas for XLM. So if they push up and get a little bit of support here on this Father's Day weekend, be a nice Father's Day gift. A little push up here. So I'm optimistic here. I'm very optimistic. But I know what can happen. And if you have relaxation, I encourage you to join me. I know what can happen. I know if these short-term break down, that we very well could be looking at a push down here on XRP down to the cup and handle support around 428. I know this. But I also see opportunity with now a W reversal could be forming. And at that, it's a bullish Gartley W reversal, which is very nice. And as I talked about with the H-bar, which is still relevant to XRP, this wick, oftentimes you start to come down towards the exhaustion wick until you do the reversal. Nobody says you have to come all the way down, but that came pretty damn close now. So support. That's a bullish Gartley if this happens. I think SHX is going to be absolutely massive. That's why I beat my head in through the wall, whether or not I should look at an opportunity where it's down 2.74% today. And it's actually, if I was looking at it from this perspective, I would look to see if it held right here at 544. But am I being greedy to think it can fall there? See, that's the thing. That's the thing nobody knows until they do. And I always speak cryptically like that, but you don't know until you do whether or not it can play out in that fashion. Sometimes it looks good, it feels good, it even seems to be in that kind of a lineup. But then when you just look at it from a real perspective, you're like, you know what? As much as that fantasy would have been great that something like this can happen, if I just look at the wholesale pattern consolidation, you start to build maybe a little bit different picture than maybe one would have thought in the first place. Like maybe, you know, it's just as simple as maybe it's just something like this with the pattern. And maybe it's just been a very long consolidation on this descending consolidation. And, you know, you take away that short-term consolidation. And maybe this is just the end of this kind of a longer... That's something we don't know. I wish we did. But we don't. And then, is it possible that instead of having that long-short target, that may be something that could make more sense? As well, you know, Tom, instead of that big target, you've got resistance support, but where does it really... So we got a big structure here that you could easily use where it hits support and resistance. Where you could get a real measure of the base, because we didn't really do it anywhere else where we measured it in the same area. So then you could start looking at it and say, well, if we're trying to find just... Maybe it does break down. Maybe it does have a breakdown moment. Well, if it breaks down from here, maybe it doesn't have to go down to the target I said. Maybe it's 00317. You know, maybe we just don't know. You know, maybe this isn't even worth it. Whoops. Maybe this isn't even worth it because that's such a short-term consolidation. But maybe what is worth it for SHX is the fact that we seem to have an exhaustion wick, and maybe the expansion zone is starting right underneath this very conversation. Like, look at all those times it's hit support right in that exact zone. And now we'll know. If it breaks through there, likely we'll probably come down to that support structure. But there's so many questions to ask. It's fascinating to me. So SHX, I think, is a very opportune thing as well. We've got Bitcoin right now. What did it say? 69 or 66,227. That's an opportunity in itself. Not Bitcoin as a whole, but Bitcoin, what it's telling us on the charts, it's telling us the opportunity of what's going on in the market. And if Bitcoin ends up pulling down here anymore, you know, you would have had a pull down probably to 62K. If it can pull up from here, I'm looking, you could have a retest at 66,798, but we have to be very careful. If Bitcoin rotates down here, something much bigger for the altcoins are going to happen. But it could have set up a small bull flag. And this could be the start of where it does want to try to get some top-end reversal. It had a lot of pressure, you know, with selling pressure. Even in the daily Bitcoin, it's been a long time since it worked its way all the way up into this range. So there's a lot of room where you could have us unsuspecting, you know, back test. You could have a reversal. We're still on the top side of the pennant flag, but we could also be back testing the pennant flag at 62.1K. So like I said, one of the biggest reasons I love crypto is because the weekends have all the opportunity in the world. It's not shut down like the traditional stock market. So your brain still gets to work. It still gets to work. But we got 57 minutes until the daily close here today, so pay very close attention. If you appreciate my work, consider joining Tom's Army. I'd love to see you with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens in month 1. But it goes through a whole list that you can continue to collect. In month 3, you get the emoji badge of the XRP Meteor. In month 6, you get the XRP Predictor. At the 1 year point, you get the I Told You So badge. At 2 years, you get the XRP 589 Moon badge. And just recently released, at 3 years, as myself, Julie, and I don't know, I have to see if anybody else has reached it. A couple are within 2 months. But it's the Diamond Hands emoji badge. And I love that because if you've been in Tom's Army for 3 years, you definitely deserve the emoji badge, the diamond hands. It's the XRP diamond hands next to your name. So I look forward to seeing anybody and everybody who can make it to that level. Or consider sending one YouTube super chat per month as a way to show support, as I don't charge for any of my content. I don't like to do paid promotions. I don't like to talk about paid advertisements and all this other shit. So I like a free viewing experience. I don't like to, you know, put it in members only content because I want everybody to be able to make an informed decision. And then I believe it all comes full circle. When somebody else is doing well based on, you know, the information and being able to trade better, or just because they appreciate what I do, it comes full circle with the pay it forward mentality. So Kyle, welcome in. Cape Cod Kyle, who's been in Tom's Army for I believe over many months now. But it doesn't show all the time. It never shows it in the live, but it'll show it on the updates. It will show it on the updates from time to time, which is very strange on YouTube's part. Very, very strange indeed. Sean Crothers, welcome in, my main man from Maine. So yes, 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Thanks, Kyle. And Rick 1, I know you were in Tom's Army, I believe, but it won't show that you're in Tom's Army because you're a mod. So it circumvents the emoji badge for some reason. I think they should show both, but that, you know, must be too hard for YouTube. So yeah, I'm excited about this. So we were talking about Casper earlier as well. Casper, as somebody said, is at the make it or break it. It's basically there. And we're getting into the oversold in a lot of aspects here for Casper and a lot of time frames. Daily's way oversold. 3 hourly's heading into oversold, and that's going to get worse as these candles close. Same thing with the 2 hourly. 1 hourly starting to break down here a little bit. We could be starting to push a little bullish, possibly. But if it comes down, you don't want it to lose the 223. But it is very, very close to those levels now. It's very close. Buddy on all streams. I appreciate that, Rick. I appreciate that, Rick. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I got to help Julie with the feeding of my son. So we got about 5 minutes left here. But XRP looks like it's attempting the reverse here in the smaller time frames again. And the only option here is it's either XRP is going to come down to the 48.4 cent mark and have to retest that area, or XRP would come up And in my opinion, it would have to hold the 50.5 cent mark, use that as a support, and then it could come up a little bit higher. There's even, I suppose I shouldn't be so harsh, it could sit at the 498 level and be able to push that, and then it could hold that as a new layer of support. So yeah, I guess I shouldn't be such a harsh ass, but it would have to go in levels. Otherwise, you'd back test this 484 at some point, or 483 in the time that it's going to end up in. So that's what I'm seeing here on the charts. I'm happy to see the XRP Bitcoin pairing for everybody who's had their due diligence and been buying in and doing what they need to do. That it had a reversal of 3.6% so far. We talked about the better almost 6% move it was going to have if it just stayed true out of here. And if this is a precursor for XRP, maybe XRP does run straight up. See how with the level of consolidation initially and then we just shot up? Same thing we're talking about with XRP. That would be equivalent to this level right here. So we're talking about how XRP needs to hold, and this ended up holding this level and it broke past it. That's exactly what we're talking about with XRP's possibility. If we can hold this level at the 505 and just break past it. This is essentially what we're talking about. That's just at a different level. So it would have to get back up there as it did with the XRP Bitcoin pairing. So I'm very happy to see that, you know, it had a bullish reversal here because it was reeking. It was speaking of it here. After it went through this consolidation, look at these chances we had. One on June 11th at the 698 sat level. One massive opportunity on June 7th at 663. From those ones that I bought down there on that quick drop, those are already up 13%. That's what that balanced all my buyings out. So then I was able to buy some there. We were able to buy some here at the 699. Again at the 697. Again, it came up. And then we had the, if it breaks out from where it was moving right there, the technical zone was 760. And if we would have just put it up at the moment it broke up, but I didn't know where it was at, it would have gave you that exact breakup. The charts don't lie, folks. It's just, it has to play true. Now, had this have broke down, everybody would have said, see, you were wrong again. It broke down. It's shit. But it's still the same thing. It could have come back down and consolidated. We had the same chance here, remembering the target was just a little bit higher. But it didn't work out. And then it consolidated, had another tap down here, only re-solidifying this double tap. It really did. And now it pushed out of here. So Rick 1, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. He says, let's go, guys. Get on board. Yes, indeed. This is going to be remembered as the time of opportunity. I guarantee it. And it didn't start on June 15th, 2024, the time of opportunity. It started the moment XRP hit 28 cents. Or it started the moment XRP went back to 2 for $1. There's many moments to know when the opportunity starts. But at some point, you have to open up your opportunity for yourself. You just got to understand, sometimes it takes a long time. But that's why, if we run into a bull market again and XRP gets up to $1.18 or $1.50, and then it shows signs of reversing and we think it's going to have a hard correction, that's why you would sell out and you would appreciate all of your work. And then you buy back in when it hits that local bottom. When you see that it's finally got to a point where you think it's possible, then you buy back everything you had. The hell with the average. Who gives a rat's ass about that at that point? Like I always tell everybody, if you buy in, like I asked the question for myself. This recent time, I bought in at 28.5 cents, sold in at that, I think it was the 44 cents. I sold up when it was at 44. I made a quick wick to 51. But I think I sold at 44 or 45 because I know for a fact I didn't hit 50 or 48. I guarantee that. So I want to say it was 44 to give a low estimate. And then I bought back in at 34.6 when it came back down. So now is my average 34.6 or do you readjust it with where it's at? See, that's where you always have to ask yourself. Everybody gets so caught up on what the exchange says and not about what they've been doing. Because when I first started, there's no way I could have had 22,000 XRP. I didn't even have the funds to have that much XRP. And then with everything else I have now, it would have just been impossible. So I mean, that's just what I'm asking. You know, how do you really justify how much you own and where you bought it? No, it's easy. Yeah, I bought it at 34.6 this last time. And then I bought some between 41 and 50. But on the XRP Bitcoin pairing, it's different because it shows different. Because I didn't actually buy an XRP. I bought a Bitcoin, and then I bought XRP Bitcoin pairing, betting on the fact that XRP is going to appreciate quicker than Bitcoin. And my favor right now, that prediction that I'm making to myself, not to any of you, that what I'm counting on and what I expect to happen, it's up just over 2.4% right now in current terms on 5,068 or whatever. I thought I had spent more, but when I actually went and looked, I told everybody how much I actually spent. I gave myself too much credit. I thought I spent like 5,300. It's almost 5,100, so I just got my math mixed up. It happens to the best of us. So, and I showed everybody when I was down to like 4,700 and whatever, but it was the accumulation phase. It's that for a reason. You can't get irritated. That's like on a leverage trade where you put 5,000 in and then you're down 250 bucks and you sell out. You're happy because you have 4,750, but what happens when it goes back up? What happens if you actually bought in a good moment, but you just have to continue buying the accumulation? You're just close enough to the bottom. It just didn't happen to hit the exact bottom when you bought. That's what I mean. Like, when do you actually know? So I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all for listening to me ramble this evening. I would love to see what's presenting itself with H-bar. I want to see if it comes through here, so just pay attention to this. Or I want to see if it comes up here to retest 858 level. So it's kind of pushing back up towards the 8.5 level, so it could very well be bouncing off. And it has lagged some of these other ones. It could be bouncing off this 8.5 or 8.45 that we seen just a short time ago. So maybe somebody bought that at 8.45 while we were talking about it. And now it's at almost 8.5. You know, so I want to see if this does pan out to the 8.58 and see what happens. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Have a